No one tells you this directly, but there are people who seem completely fine in every way and still make others quietly want to stay a little less close to them. They may be attractive, funny, have a stable job, know how to behave, and even be quite kind. But after spending some time with them, others still feel themselves pulling back a little. Not exactly dislike, not exactly for any major reason. They simply do not want to come closer. What makes this uncomfortable is that it usually does not come from a big flaw in their personality. It comes from very small, very ordinary habits that are very hard to notice in everyday interactions. And because they are so small, most people who are doing them have no idea they are doing them. This is not about becoming a bad person. It is also not about using tricks to manipulate others into liking you more. In truth, it is simpler than that and also more real. There are behavioral patterns that make others feel unsafe, unseen, unable to breathe, or unable to be themselves around you. They may not always know how to name that feeling, but their body recognizes it first, and after a while, they naturally want to come back less. Today, we are talking about 8 habits like that. Not dramatic, not loud, but enough to slowly wear down a person's attractiveness without them understanding why. The first habit is showing emotions you do not actually feel. You still laugh at the right time. You still look sad at the right time. You still say things that sound very proper, very warm, very correct. But somewhere, there is still a very small mismatch between your outer expression and what is really happening inside. Other people may not always be able to name it, but they can feel it. The original source mentions research from the University of Toronto showing that humans can recognize this mismatch extremely quickly, almost immediately. This often forms in people who lived for a long time in environments where their real emotions were not accepted. They learned how to perform being okay, and then they carry that performance into every interaction afterward. If you have ever felt that you know how to be correct in communication, yet still struggle to connect deeply with others, subscribe to the channel and keep watching, because the next parts will touch very clearly on the reason. The second habit is needing to win every conversation. You talk about a difficult experience, and the other person has gone through something harder. You talk about your goal, and they have already achieved it. You offer a perspective, and they immediately shift into debate mode. Disagreement is not the problem. Debate is not the problem either. The problem is the motive. Are you trying to understand each other better, or are you trying to beat each other? The original source keeps a reference from the University of Michigan showing that people with a strong need to be right are often judged as less likable in social settings. Not because everyone consciously notices that pattern, but because when people are around someone who always has to be superior, they automatically stop sharing what is real. No one wants to become material for a competition they never signed up for. The third habit hurts more because it often begins from real pain turning hurt into a long-term identity. There is a clear difference between vulnerability and a chronic victim role. Vulnerability says, I went through something very difficult and I am still learning how to live with it. A chronic victim role says, everything always happens to me and someone else has to be responsible for fixing it. A person living in that role does not only tell the story of their pain, they make everyone around them quietly carry it too. And after a while, the people close to them no longer feel compassion. They feel tired. That feeling is very real. The original source says it well. What people take away is often not irritation, but exhaustion, because they are being pulled into an emotional debt they never agreed to take on. The fourth habit is not being able to tolerate silence. It may sound small, but this is one of the things other people feel very quickly. Some people feel that every silence has to be filled. They have to say something. They have to make a joke. They have to keep telling the story. They have to add more information, not because they are incredibly interesting. Many times it is because they are deeply anxious about the empty space between two people. The original source mentions Matthias Mell from the University of Arizona, and a very interesting point. The conversations people remember as the most connected are often not the ones packed with the most words. They have more pauses, more room to breathe, because true silence is not empty. It shows that someone is really there. If you have ever been around someone who talks nonstop and still felt no real connection, this may be why. The fifth habit is the way you reveal yourself when something goes only slightly differently from what you wanted. It does not take a major crisis to show others who you are. Small inconveniences reveal that very clearly. The food comes out wrong. Traffic is bad. The order takes too long. Something small in the day does not go as planned. And suddenly your tone changes. your face darkens, your energy starts spilling onto people who did nothing to deserve it. The original source keeps a reference from University College London. What predicts long-term unhappiness in relationships is not necessarily the big fights, but the small repeated reactions such as sighs, eye-rolling, and low-level impatience. If you have ever thought I'm not hot-tempered but noticed that you tend to reveal yourself the moment things become slightly inconvenient, comment the number 8. Because many people around you are using those small moments to decide whether you are safe to be close to. The 6th habit is turning every conversation into a scoreboard. The other person tells you where they have traveled, and you tell them you have traveled more. They share something they just achieved, and you immediately give a bigger version of your own achievement. They share a milestone, and your reflex is to respond with a higher one. Comparison is a very human instinct, but there is a kind of comparison that turns interaction from sharing into soft competition. The original source mentions Stanford, the habit of one-upping not only makes others feel smaller, it also cuts the person doing it off from real connection because they were never present enough to listen. They are always busy locating their position on a ranking scale. And the people who make you feel most interesting are usually not busy checking whether they stand above or below you. They are simply truly listening. The 7th habit is that your body sends signals your words never agreed to send. You say, "It's okay," but your body is tense. You say, "I'm really happy to see you," but your eyes look away. Or on the other hand, you may not say anything too harsh, but the way you stare, cross your arms, or hold a cold stiffness has already made the other person shrink back. This is where many people underestimate the power of nonverbal signals. The human brain reads safety before it processes logic. And when the body says one thing while the mouth says another, people almost always believe the body first. Not because they are doing it on purpose, but because their nervous system works that way. So sometimes the problem is not in your words. It is in what comes before your words. The 8th habit is being negative without moving forward. Everyone has dark moments. Everyone needs to vent sometimes. The problem is not complaining. The problem is the kind of complaining that loops endlessly, clearly naming what is wrong but never opening toward any movement or change. The original source keeps a strong point from UC Berkeley. This kind of unmoving venting can increase cortisol in both the speaker and the listener. In other words, it does not release stress. It transfers stress. Other people are not tired because you are going through a dark moment. They are tired because you are stuck. And being around someone stuck for too long can make them feel trapped in that same loop, even when they do not want to be. So what should we do with all of this? The answer is not too dramatic. You do not need to change your entire personality overnight. You only need to begin with one honest question exactly in the spirit of the original source. Am I doing this because I truly want to, or because there is a need inside me forcing me to do it? Am I talking a lot because I want to connect, or because I am afraid of silence? Am I debating because I want to clarify, or because I need to win? Am I sharing my pain, or am I demanding that someone else carry it? Am I competing, or am I just afraid that I am not enough? If you have read this far and started to recognize 1 or 2 habits that feel too accurate, comment the number 9, because the moment you see your pattern is the moment it begins to weaken. Real attractiveness is not about how well you speak, how put together you look, or how good you are at making an impression. It lies in the feeling people carry after they leave you. Do they feel seen? Do they feel allowed to be themselves? Do they feel that you were truly present with them? That is what makes people come back. Not surface-level sharpness, but the sense of safety you create. If this video touched something real in you, please like and subscribe to the channel. These are things many people live their whole lives without ever having someone sit down and explain clearly to them. And if you know someone who seems completely fine on the outside but keeps failing to understand why others are slowly drifting away, send this video to them.